Pull. Hey folks, welcome to Shotgun Passion with Travis Mears. Today we're going to do a video of everybody's nemesis targets, rabbits and long crossers. So hopefully I can help you. We're going to go into how to execute these shots, how to set up, and how to have more success on the range. So stay with me and we're going to get into it. All right, we're going to start out with the rabbits first. Rabbits are very unique. Most courses will have at least one or two set on the course, and I want to kind of go through the process of preparing for that shot and how to execute it and how it's different than our standard birds in the air. So first and foremost is the actual target, okay? So this is a rabbit clay target. It's even got a little rabbit here in the middle. Flat on the edges. The target's fairly thick, okay? The depth of the bird is fairly thick, but flat, okay? So different from our standard bird, okay, which is a 108 full size white flyer. This is an orange dome. What I notice right off the bat is the rabbit's probably 25–30% heavier, okay? In overall weight, I would say the rabbit is 25–30% heavier. But also in thickness, the target is actually a little bit thicker. Now the reason for that is because it's rolling on the ground, rolling on clay targets, rolling on grass and rocks and whatever else might be in the field. So the bird has to be a little harder so it's stronger to roll on the ground. But what does that mean to a shooter? Who cares, right? Well, what I think is important about knowing this is that it actually is slower for multiple reasons, okay? A, it's heavier. B, it's rolling on the ground, and there's a lot of variables there, whether the grass is thick or short or if it's on a rubber mat or not. And so the target is dealing with something that's a little different than our standard bird. Okay, this has got friction, okay? It is literally rolling on the ground, and it is slowing down a lot faster than our other targets that are flying through the air with very little resistance other than wind and gravity. The rabbits roll on the ground a little different than what our standard ones in the air would do. What we're going to do is we're going to learn how to adjust our shots and our technique to better execute the rabbits, okay? So many ranges, and we're going to shoot rabbits today at various distances, but we're starting out with our standard 20-yard rabbit. And over my shoulder here, you might see we're here on the outlaw course. It's just a 20-yard left to right. It's going to be showing the black side of the rabbit. It's a standard target, 20 yards. Okay, you're going to see this on a lot of courses. When I'm looking at the birds, I'm looking at where it's coming from, where's it going, trying to picture where the most optimal opportunity is to execute the shot, but really paying attention to the target as far as any kind of regularity and when it's going to jump, if it's going to jump, and also the speed, okay? So we're going to look at this rabbit real quick. Okay, coming from this mech trap over here on the left, pull. Oh, we got a big bounce right off the bat. Right after that bounce, he came down and was pretty slow. Let's see if there's any regularity to that bounce there. Pull. All right, no bounce on that one, went all the way across the field. Now, what I notice is right off the bat, first of all, it's not very far. I already told you it's 20 yards. But I would also describe this target as fairly slow. So automatic indicator to me, if I'm shooting, I want to hang close to the front of the bird. I would say that probably 90% of the misses on rabbits are going to be in two spots, okay? Almost always in front and most of the time over, okay? So with the target has a fairly flat trajectory, people tend to get offline a little bit and shoot over the top, and we'll address that here shortly. And then because the target is rolling on the ground and there's so many things in the background, it always seems a little faster than it is, and so people naturally shoot in front of it. And also, if I had a target that far, 20 yards at that speed flying in the air, you probably would feel like you needed to be a little bit in front of it. But I'm telling you, these rabbits are slowing down faster, so we hang closer to the front of the bird. We're going to create our connection with the rabbit. Okay, we'll use this bird here, this rabbit. So we're going to create our connection with the muzzle near the front of the bird. You'll notice I naturally went to the bottom front. Okay, so we're going to be connected in here, and we're going to hold that position all the way through the shot. Where if this was a target in the air, I would hold position and then separate to create a little bit of gap not on this rabbit. Because he's slowing down so fast, I'm gonna keep in position on the front edge of that bird. So, or rabbit, I should say. Let's see if you can't look over my shoulder, and we'll break a few of these. This is my sporting gun, Caesar Greeny Invictus 3 M-Spec barrel. All right, let's shoot a few of these. Now we're gonna run with the bottom front of this rabbit with a good connection. Pull. Again, pull. When I'm helping somebody with rabbits, one thing I always try to bring to attention is the break point, okay? So when we pick break points on targets in the air, it's plus or minus 2 yards. Like where we see it the best, where the target presents itself the best, that's the break point. But on a rabbit, it's different, okay? A rabbit's different because, again, it could bounce, it could go fast, it could go slow. There's a lot of variables there. So on a rabbit, I open up my break point. I position myself properly to where I could take it early or I can take it late. What it really comes down to is when am I in position? Okay, position I told you was on the front edge, bottom edge. Okay, call it 4 o'clock on the rabbit is where I'm going to place the muzzle, and I'm not going to pull the trigger until it's right. Now, if I get there early, I want to shoot early. If it takes me the whole course, then I'll shoot it late. So I'm going to see if we can't get a little bit of regularity here. We're going to take this rabbit right in here in the middle. I'm going to hold position right at 4 o'clock. Pull. That one took a little quick bounce, but I took it while I was in the air. Pull. All right, that one was slow and steady, and I was able to execute the shot as planned. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to take this rabbit and we're going to push the machine out about 20-25 yards where the rabbit's rolling at probably 45 yards. And we're going to show you how to maintain that forward position on one that takes a little bit of lead. Okay, so we've taken the rabbit out. It's right at 40 yards right now, and it's still left to right. While we were doing that, I got to thinking, it's like, you know, I was telling you how to shoot the rabbit, okay, but really the setup is probably the most important thing. I mentioned earlier about people shooting in front and over. Okay, well, let me tell you where the over comes from. When you set up for a rabbit and you go to your break point, you come back to your hold point, if your gun is in line with where the rabbit's going to be, you're automatically a foot over it. Okay, and so what I'm telling you, and this is a secret you got to remember, is you want to have your hold point just below where the target's going to be rolling. So our hold point needs to be on the ground, on the mat, whatever's there, below the line. We set up our shotguns to shoot 60-40, 50-50, 70-30, whatever you choose. But where we can see is above the gun, okay? So for example, my gun shoots 60-40. 60% of my pattern is above this aiming point. I want the majority of my shot where this is going to be. And oh, by the way, if I shoot low, especially here in Texas, our ground's pretty hard. If I shoot low, guess what's going to happen? I've still got some pattern up there, but more often than not, you're going to ricochet off the ground and hit the target. Okay, but if I'm running here, and first of all, the rabbit's below the muzzle, and I've only got 40% of my pattern to help me, there's a good chance I'm going to miss and shoot over the top of it. Okay, so when we come back to our hold point, I want you to intentionally be below where the target's going to roll. Okay, that's going to allow you to see the bird, and it's also putting yourself with the majority of your pattern in the rolling path. We're taking this rabbit out to 40 yards. I want to show you the difference on how we approach this rabbit opposed to the 20 yard that took front edge as far as forward allowance. So let's look at this thing real quick. Pull. All right, my first read on that is distance is like medium. Off the trap, he's pretty quick, but where I'm going to be shooting him, right out here, I think that rabbit is medium minus on spring. So what that means to me is I can't shoot the front edge like I was earlier. Now I've got to get in front of it. But the problem with separating too early on a rabbit, okay, getting out in front of a rabbit too early, is if he bounces or does anything crazy, then I'm out of position. So I'm going to run just in position until it's time to shoot, and I'm going to let the gun slowly slide away from the rabbit and fire. Okay, and so we're very intentional to try to stay with the bird as long as possible so that I can be prepared for any of these crazy bounces, or if he slows down by going into some high grass or something. Pull. All right, dead center. If I wanted to shoot that rabbit sooner, for example, if I was in a true pair scenario, or if that bird really, or if that rabbit really had a crazy bounce later, now I would have to adjust the shot by just having earlier separation, and because he's quicker earlier in flight, I've got to get more in front. Okay, and so let's see if we can't break a few early. Pull. That one beat me. I had to come through him. I'm going to move my whole point back out. Pull. All right. So, very short connection period that time. I hit them all, but that one, when I pulled the trigger, was probably 4 or 5 foot in front. So, because the rabbit is quicker in flight, he took more forward allowance, more lead, and that's probably not how I'd want to shoot it in a tournament unless I was forced to do it. For example, we had nationals not too long ago, and there was a rabbit on the 5-stand that if he shot it the way they intended in the singles and in the report pairs, it was a real casual rabbit. But there was 2 true pairs where the guy that could shoot it right as soon as he hits the ground and get to the second bird had a better chance. And so I think it's important in practice to shoot a few early, shoot a few in the spot, shoot a few late, prepare yourself for those tournament scenarios. In summary, rabbits are going to be on almost every course, but remember, they're not going to have a rabbit on every station. So don't spend all your time and energy practicing rabbits, but it is a great target to be comfortable with and be confident with. Always remember, I'm telling you, always remember, everybody shoots in front and everybody shoots over. And so if you find yourself shooting a really slow rabbit, I helped a guy not too long ago. Rabbit was probably 10 yards in front of the station and barely rolling. He couldn't hit it, couldn't hit it, couldn't hit it. I told him, I said, run on the back of the rabbit. When you feel yourself connected to literally the cottontail on the rabbit, pull the trigger. You never miss another one. That just proved to him that he was shooting in front of it all those other times. And so I urge to you to stay close to the front of the rabbits, look at what they're doing, and don't glue yourself to one break point. Open up the field. You can shoot him early, you can shoot him late, but run close to him and have fun shooting them, because it's a really fun target to shoot. Let's go shoot some crossers. Okay, so when I'm going into a lesson and trying to help somebody further their game, I always ask a few questions. Well, one of the answers that just repeatedly comes up is crossers. Short crossers, long crossers, but for sure the longer crossers are challenging for folks. And what I want to relay to y'all is it's just another target. Okay, we've got to prepare ourselves, we've got to read the bird properly, and then make a plan to execute. And so I want to kind of go through the steps that I would go through in preparing for a couple different crossers. We're going to shoot this one first, and we'll show it to you in a minute, but it's about 35 yards. And speed-wise, I would say it's probably medium minus. And the way I just described that to you is exactly the way I think about it when I get my show pair in a tournament or when I'm practicing. I pull the target. First of all, I want to look for where is it coming from, where's it going. Okay, that tells me a lot about the target. I want to look at the distance, and I want to estimate the speed. Okay, and the reason for this is what I also try to get people to acknowledge is speed determines lead. Distance and angle are factors, okay? And so we want to pay attention to our speed of the bird. And when I'm saying that, I'm talking about paying attention to the speed of the bird at the break point, okay? When we pull this bird and it's going across the sky, and mentally in your mind you say, bang, that is your break point. What exactly is the target doing in that moment in time, okay? I want to know how far it is, I want to know how fast it is, and then we want to see what the angle is, okay? So this is a true crosser. It's coming from left to right. Pull, bang. Now at the break point, I would describe that target as probably soft to medium speed. And the reason I say that is because he's not moving too fast, especially at the break point, but he's not hanging in the sky, okay? And so by judging speed and distance, we can give ourselves a little bit of an estimation of what the forward allowance is. If the target was close and slow, it would need no lead, I'd hang on the front edge. And now this one's medium and slow plus, medium minus. And so it's going to need a little forward allowance. But what's that mean? Okay, everybody has their way of describing this. Feet, inches, gaps with their fingers. Everybody has to find their own scale. The way I see lead is in feet, okay? But At the same time, not everybody perceives it the same, so you got to find your scale. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get on the front edge of this bird, and because he doesn't need much lead, I'm going to barely separate at the shot after I make a good connection. Now on crossers, it's really important that to give ourselves the best opportunity to break it, we've got to have a good setup. So earlier I identified the break point. On crossers, I come halfway back to the first visual opportunity. We call it the focal point. Okay, so break point, starting halfway back, it's the whole point, and then taking my eyes all the way back to the trap, seeing it come out. Okay, that's the focal point. So those are your 3 points: break point, whole point, focal point. I naturally go through the steps. I think it's good for muscle memory. Break point, whole point, eyes back to the trap, pull, front edge, separate. Okay, as soon as I separated, I fired. Now, if I had to explain to somebody what the lead of that particular target was, I'd say it's probably 1.5 feet, 2 foot. And I think it's important, you know, for us all to acknowledge that we have to put lead on the target, okay? But we need to be focused on the bird, not the lead, okay? We let the lead happen based on the way we set up, the way we train ourselves to move with the bird. I need to be 95% visually committed to the shot, 5% aware of where the muzzle is so that I can manipulate it if needed. Now, for me, I always say that the insert is far more important than the final result. And so if I start in position, if I place the gun on the front edge of the bird, the way I'm telling myself, and create the connection, matching the speed and the line, then executing the shot is the easy part. Okay, so the lead is the easy part. Establishing the lead is all easy, but we've got to start correctly, and we've got to train ourselves to be able to connect with the bird properly so that we can execute that shot and be aware of where the muzzle is. If I get beat by the bird, for example, I've got a bad setup. I bring the whole point in too tight, and then I get a bad start with the bird and it gets a head start of me. Now I've got to get the gun moving faster than the bird to get it back into position. Obviously, that's not going to be as efficient as if I start where I need to. Okay, the example could go the other way. If I have my whole point out too far and I'm waiting for the bird, okay, it might shorten my available opportunity to kill it. And so knowing where to start and how to move with the bird is first thing. Once we establish that, a crosser's a crosser. Whether it's at 20 yards or 100 yards, it's the same bird. We just adjust what our forward allowance is. Okay, 2 more of these, and then we're going to go to a further, faster target. Pull. Pull. This is a good baseline crosser. You know, if I was practicing on my technique, this is the kind of bird I would spend time on because it's very hittable, but also missable if we don't do it right. And so coming in here and setting all my points, my break point, my whole point, my focal point, reading the bird properly, and sitting here and shooting 5, 6, 10 of these in a row would be a great practice, and it will relay into when you go to a further, faster, or closer, slower target. Knowing how to adapt on a good baseline bird like this, working on this in practice will allow us to pivot into the further, faster, or the slower, closer. So I think it's time to go shoot something a little further. We're going to go to the ranch course and see if we can't stretch it out a little bit. Okay, so now we're on ranch 7. Ranch course here at the range is often known as the one where we're going to have tournament targets set all the time for guys to come and practice and train on. And so we are on station 7, and on this particular station we've got a pretty good crosser. It's coming from the right. I would say this bird is probably right at 45, maybe almost 50, coming from right to left. And we're going to look at a show bird, and this is when I'm going to go through my steps of estimating distance and speed and angle so that I can figure out what I want to do as far as forward allowance and lead goes. Okay, so all right, Gary, let's look at this bird. Killing this bird kind of center over this closest tree, and a little bit higher than the tree. That's the line of the bird. Taking note of that. It's right to left, true 90-degree crosser. Pull, bang. All right. In my own game, if I was in a tournament and trying to break this bird down to give myself the best opportunity, it's a crosser. Okay, so we're coming 50% back on our whole point. The bird's at medium plus on distance, and I would say it's probably medium plus on speed. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, what's a medium lead look like? Okay, to me, a medium lead is, you know, 4 or 5 foot. What's 4 or 5 foot? Well, I'm talking about 4 or 5 foot out there, okay? So find something that you know what the measurement is. For example, this station is 5 foot from this post, okay? I'm telling you that a medium lead is 4 to 5 foot. So this is a medium plus speed, medium plus distance, and so I'm gonna give it a medium lead plus a little, okay? So I feel like this is about a 5 or 6 foot lead, okay? But who knows? We're just gonna kind of feel it out. Like I said before, if I get the insert right, if I get the connection right, match the speed, match the line, do all that stuff right in the initial insert, okay, then the rest of the execution of the shot's very easy. So my goal is to come in at like 75% of what I think the total lead is, and so I'm gonna find myself kind of, if this is the target, this post here, I'm gonna find myself making my connection, matching the speed, matching the line at about this, call it 3.5, okay? We're gonna match the speed, match the line. Once I feel everything's moving properly, I'm gonna have slight separation to open the door, and it's really important for us always to know that separation is a commitment to the shot, okay? We're not gonna separate and reconnect, we're gonna separate and send it, okay? And so get our connection right, and then trust the eyes and the hands to work together to make the shot. All right, let's shoot this thing. Pull. All right, broke that one. Started with probably, plan worked out well. Started with probably 3, connected with that bird for what I would say is probably 10, 12 yards in the sky. Matching speed, matching line, everything felt right. I made a slight increase in muzzle speed as we got to the center of the tree and killed it right where I thought I would. And when I separate, I want you to know that the separation from the connection is probably a 2 to 5% increase in muzzle speed. So noticeable to me, noticeable if Gary was looking over my shoulder, but to everybody in the back here, it's such a slow increase in muzzle speed that it shouldn't be noticeable. It's not a pull away, it's not a throw or a yank, it's just sliding out of connection into the final destination. Here we go, couple more. Pull. Good break. Pull. Okay, good, I missed that one. So I was a little late to my connection, which prevented me from being able to shoot it where I wanted to. And I knew I was a little tight in the spot, so I threw at the end. So all around kind of a bad shot, but that's gonna happen, right? But what's important for us is to acknowledge how we missed. I don't care if you were in front or behind, because that doesn't matter. What matters is, why was I in front or why was I behind, okay? And so that's what we're trying to diagnose so that we go into the next pair, we know what to fix, okay? So I know what I messed up. We're gonna see if we can't do it right this time. Here we go. Pull. Dead center. Pull. All right, good. So 4 out of 5 really well executed shots. Obviously in a tournament scenario, I'd be whining about missing that one, but at the end of the day, we're shooting a 45-yard crosser. So come out to the range, get comfortable on various distances, understand how speed determines lead. As they get further, as they get faster, the forward allowance is a little more. So this is a, pretty good little crosser. But I know where one is that's a little further and a whole lot faster. So if this was a 5-6 foot lead, we're gonna go to the next one that's gonna take more than that. So let's go across the road to Ranch 11 where the big mean red tower is and see if we can't break a few big crossers. All right, folks, now we're on Ranch 11, and it's got the big red tower, like I said earlier. And so this tower is pretty well known out here at Defender Outdoors. Everybody seeks it out to see where the big crosser is gonna be, and today's no slouch. We've got some birds set up right now for some tournaments so people can come out and practice, and this thing's monster, okay? Like intimidating monster. So even more so than normal. It's way up, okay? I think that tower is a 45 footer. and the target is actually going away a little bit. We're going to take a couple show looks at this and see if we can't diagnose what we've got. Pull. Bang. Right out here on the third across the field here is where our break point's going to be. Looking at it one more time. Pull. Bang. Okay, you're gonna have to shoot that bird quicker than you want because the line's transitioning pretty good. I think at the break point, that bird's every bit of 65 yards, okay? So I don't care who you are, 65 yards is a little bit outside the comfort zone, and so we gotta make a good plan. We gotta be really comfortable in front of it, and it's gotta happen quick because the line after the break point's pretty nasty, okay? So I'm gonna kind of break this down. I would say this bird is fitting into the category as far, okay? We've shot medium, we've shot a medium plus, and I guess we started at 35 and the last one was 45. This one's every bit of 65. And so everything that we've done so far, we can learn from. I can tell you it's gonna take more than those. If we remember back to the 45 yarder that we said was medium plus, we can learn a little bit from that, okay? So this one being far and fast, we know it's gonna need more than we talked about on that last one. If you remember right, it took 6 foot. We started at 3.5, went to 6 and fired. We got that bird really down and consistent. So I would say far and fast, we're gonna give ourselves probably, I'm gonna go in at like 8, feel the bird out, match the speed, match the line, and separate, okay? Again, everybody has to have their own skill. You might not know or feel comfortable with what 8 foot is, but I am, and so that's the plan. You got to make your own plan based on your own skill, scale, and so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to stick the gun out there in front of the bird. I'm going to match the speed, match the line. I'm going to separate with a little bit of intensity to see if we can't get out there. I think at the final picture, it's going to be every bit of 12, 13 foot of lead, okay? Far and fast, let's get big. Here we go. Shooting modified 1 ounce 1250 Fiocchi shooting dynamics. I don't change shells based on the target. I just try to put it in the right spot. So we got the Briley mods in here. Let's see if we can't break a few. Pull. Okay, I feel like I executed that shot pretty well, but I definitely shot over the line, okay? So easy to do when we're up in the blue sky. I missed the line. Let's see if we can adjust. Pull. 2 misses. I don't know if we can edit this out, so I better just start hitting them. Here we go. Pull. All right, killed him there. That was a good shot. Let's do it again. Pull. All right, killed that one too. So ultimately what I had to adjust was where I inserted the muzzle line-wise. Because that target comes out of the trap kind of going up, levels out real quick, and then starts going down. Ultimately had to lower my hold point just a little bit so that my insert came in on the lower side of the line so that once I shot, I was in position. So for example, let's say the line is like this, okay? When he left the trap over here, I was kind of running with forward allowance, but lower than he was so that when I got to the break point, he came into me, okay? So I'm not cheating way down here, and I'm not cutting him off. I'm still making a great connection with speed and line, but it's on the lower part of the line. And I'm telling you, it's pretty big. I guarantee you I'm out there that far in front of this thing, okay? So big lead, big bird. This is outside of what most tournaments would throw, but I will tell you, that we just shot the national championship, and there were several targets on the green course that took a bunch, okay? A bunch, just like this one. Let's break a couple more. This is fun. Pull. Dead, bottom back, I'll take it. Pull. Missed that one. All right, got to focus on the basics, looking at the bird, matching the speed, matching the line. Here we go. Got to get to the basics on these big birds. Everything's got to be right. Pull. Smoked him. Focused on the little things and big things happen. Pull. Smoked that one even harder. Like I was saying earlier, when it comes to crossers, whether it's at 15 yards and slow or 65, 75 yards and ripping, the technique is the same way. Where we start is a little different, okay? If it's further faster, obviously we gotta start more in front and feel the bird out. But even on the big stuff, we gotta focus on the little things, okay? And so ultimately that's what helped me here, was really focusing on my connection, making sure that I put the gun in the right spot initially, matched the speed well, looked at the bird hard at the break point, and I hit those last two really hard. So don't be intimidated by your long crossers. Just know that we've got to read the speed and the distance just like we would the short ones, and we've got to adapt to it so that we can put the shot in the right spot. So go out to the range, find you a couple different crossers. Don't get wrapped up around shooting the whole course. Go find you the birds that you want to work on. Spend some time really diagnosing and understanding what it looks like shooting a 45, a 65, a 35-yard crosser, so that when it comes to tournament day, you're confident and you can step into the station, make a good plan, and execute. So hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please drop a comment down there. Tell me what helped you. After you go to the range, let us know how it goes. And if you like it, hit that red button down there and subscribe. And I hope that you come around to us and shoot here at Defender Outdoors. But until then, I look forward to seeing you at the range.